Hello family, it's my honor and privilege to share with you how we can share our testimonies in an effective way to our loved ones who may not have heard of the gospel or who may be disheartened in their walk with God, and to just share with them what God is doing in our life and to bring them back on track. Okay, along with this equipping session, I've prepared a handout for you, and you can download it, and if you're like me, I'll print it out so that it's easier for me to follow. Your eyesight's good, you're young and techy, you can always just do the online version. Okay, so your personal testimony, my personal testimony, is one of the most powerful form of communicating the gospel. God allowed many experiences in our lives so that we can relate with others who need Jesus Christ. So we want you to be ready to always give a reason for the hope that is in you. And by the way, you can have more than one testimony. You can have a conversion testimony. You can have a testimony when your faith is shaken and how you came back to encounter God and put your faith in God again. You can have a testimony about a time of grief in your life and how God came through for you, and then you got out of the grief and become stronger, and to encourage people who are going through similar grief. All right, so we can have many, many different testimonies about God's conversion of us before Christ and after we become a Christian, or also how God do His transforming work in our heart. All right, the Bible is full of testimony. All right, in page 1 on this handout, I'm not going to go through every one of them. You can read for yourself and check out the passages that we've listed for you. Bible is full of testimony of people who encountered God. So, and your testimony is very, very variable because it is unique. It is unique to yourself. Nobody has another testimony like you. All right, and it is personal, and it's very easy for people to understand. And you are an authority on it. Nobody can argue with you about your testimony. All right, anyway, we don't share a testimony to have an argument, okay? We share a testimony so that it can be a catalyst in people's life, in people's coming back to God and coming to trust God. People can relate with our testimony easily. It can build a relational bridge with them. And it is the most effective witnessing tool that we can always use at any time because it's our story. On page 2, I will share with you some suggestions for preparing this testimony. All right. First of all, you may want to choose a central theme. All right. Our testimony basically have 3 parts. Before, all right, you become a Christian, how you become a Christian, and what happens to you. What change come over your life after you become a Christian. All right. Usually we'll devote more time to the central segment on how you can become a Christian. So you can choose a central theme. All right. So we have a list of central theme before and after theme there for you. So for me, when I look at this list, when I first became a Christian, the theme that I connect with most is the theme about worries and inner peace. All right. By the way, we have another longer list for you on page 3 on the different kind of themes you could look through and take those themes that you can connect with, and you may want to prepare several testimonies that you can use to share with different ones during this season or even after this Christmas. You will always be ready to give a reason for the hope that is in you. So choose a central theme before or after. All right, maybe you were always having bad temper, you don't know why, and after you encounter Christ, how God began to deal with you in your area of your anger and give you patience and love. All right, and maybe you were feeling empty about your life, and how God come into your life and deliver you from the sense of emptiness and give you a purpose in your life. So first of all, choose a central theme. Secondly, you want to identify with the prospect, the person that you're sharing the gospel with, or the listener. All right, think of a theme that is more connected with him or her, more relevant to him or her. Thirdly, you will want to focus on the positive. Don't spend a lot of time emphasizing all your pre-conversion sins. All right, Emphasize the difference that Jesus Christ has made in your life after you became a Christian. All right, don't brag. Oh, I used to do this or that, and then go into all kinds of gory details about your past sins. Right? You can be authentic. You can share some of the things you did that was not good, but don't go into too much details. All right. Fourthly, focus on God's faithfulness, on God's love in your testimony. Give glory to Him, not yourself. All right. That is the purpose of sharing your testimony, is to give glory to God. In your testimony, also try to be specific. Don't be too general. Right? Give some specific examples of how what happened to you before you encountered Christ and what happened. For example, for me, the year that I became a Christian was the year I had to face a major crisis in my life. I flunked my Set 1 exam very, very badly. And when I went to the secondary 2 class, I was in the last class of the cohort. And it was like the bottom, even in the last class, one of the bottom ones. So it was a crisis in my life that I give some details too. All right, I won't say that I was very miserable, but no details about my misery. My misery was that I flunked my exam. All right, and I was really, really having a crisis in my life. I was so worried about the future and worried about my parents' reaction to me. And so that was something specific. And if in the after, I want to share that actually after that I did better for my exams after I became a Christian, and how I actually moved on to being in the second class of the 8th in the cohort. All right, some specific examples will help you in giving credibility to your story. All right, avoid a travelogue kind of testimony. First I did this, then did this, then. No, don't go into too much details. All right, avoid Christian jargon. All right, we have many Christian jargons. After becoming a Christian for many years, we start using a lot of jargons. And on page 4, I have a list of suggestions of jargons that you don't use. I'm very blessed. I was born again. I was saved. Try to avoid these items when you are talking to a non-Christian, a pre-believer. All right, say things like, instead of saying I'm blessed, I say I'm very happy. All right, instead of born again, I was given a fresh start. All right, so there's a list here, and there could be more. All right, and if you hear people sharing a testimony and use a lot of Christian jargon that non-Christian cannot make a sense of, you may want to just take a note and give feedback to those that you're listening to. All right, so avoid Christian jargon as much as possible. And then the last point is keep it short. When you are writing your testimony, keep it to about 300 words. All right, 300 words. Because when you are sharing, usually you will take longer. Sometimes you'll pause. Sometimes somebody might interject with a question. You need to elaborate. So try to keep it to about 300 words. Okay, I'm not religious about it, but if you can do that, that will prepare you very well to share your testimony effectively and not bore people to death. Okay, all right. In page 4, again, we have 3 suggestions on how you can lead in to the testimony. All right, listen for the problems or needs that Jesus has helped you with. During this time when you're preparing your testimony, think of all the times in your life when you have encountered God's blessing and God coming through for you. Right? Think about those needs that you had leading to those encounters. All right, for me, I was single for a long, long time. I had an extended singlehood, and all my friends were getting married. And, I was always attending weddings and never been the one to wear the bridal gown. So there was a time in my life when I was struggling with this also. All right. So and after marriage, there were many problems I was adjusting to. So in my life, there were many, many times, pockets of time when I really needed God and He came through for me. So listen to Jesus and ask Him to tell you what are the things that you have, encountered God in, and then start to think of your testimony. Refer to something in the news or TV that deal with the common needs or problem. If you don't have something personal at the moment, think about what people are going through. Okay, this year people are already worried about inflation. All right, maybe some people are worried about unrest in different parts of the world. all kinds of things. Be alert to some of these things that you could lead your testimony into. Sometimes you might meet somebody that you know for very, very long time, and you have never shared your testimony with him before. You may want to say, I have known you for so long, and I'm so sorry. I never shared the most important decision in my life with you. So you, in a way, start with an apology, and you ask for permission. Do you mind if I take some time now to share with you this major decision in my life? Okay, that could be a way that you lead into a testimony. Because three possible ways, there may be more, all right? Especially when you visit somebody in hospital or somebody at a wedding or at a wake, there could be things that you could talk about that could lead to sharing the testimony. Then we have a suggestion on page 5 on how you can write your testimony. This could be your worksheet. You don't have to answer every question. These are just prompts for you to start thinking about your testimony. Describe what your life was like before, how you got to know Him. Describe how you came to believe in Jesus Christ. And describe how your life has changed and is still changing since you put your faith in Jesus. So for me, for example, number 2 question is, I don't have something dramatic. I'm not like Paul the Apostle, had a Damascus experience. And I didn't, have a lot of past sins. I was young, I was 14 years old. Yeah, I had sin, I lied and things like that, But I didn't have some major sins in my life. Some of you grow up in Christian home. You have always believed in God. He was always in the picture. But then the change came into you when you faced a certain struggle. And then you needed God, and you had to decide whether you turn to God or turn to other gods or other ways of coping with your problem. And maybe for you, it's not so much a conversion before you know Jesus and after you know Jesus, but for you, it's a decision to make Jesus the Lord of your life, to become a disciple of Jesus. So our conversion story will be different. So for me, a good friend of mine was very, very bubbly, even though she failed Sec 1 like me, went to the same class as me. But for some reason, she had such positivity that she was always talking about Jesus to me. And one day, when she shared with me the gospel, I was already a good friend. And I didn't feel like I can say, I don't believe what you say. I just say, let me think about it. And she wrote a prayer that I could pray, if I want to believe in Jesus Christ. And that night, for some reason, when I got home, I prayed that prayer that she wrote up for me. Like, God, I'm so sorry. I've sinned against you. I thank you for sending Jesus Christ to save me from my sin. By faith, I give you my life. I put my faith in you. I want to be a follower of you. And that night, I prayed that prayer. And next day, she asked me, so did you pray that prayer? And I said, yes, I did. But I didn't 100% believe in Jesus at that point. I still think that people come from monkeys. Evolution. That was in our textbook. But that sort of opened the door for me to hang out with a Christian crowd. They brought me to a Youth for Christ club. We attended meetings every week. We sang songs that I enjoyed, listened to testimonies, listened to messages, played some games. I began to make friends with many Christians. And so slowly, over a course of about 9 months, I began to be convicted of my sin. And I began to realize that God is real because He answered my prayer. I was very often late for school because I take 3 buses to get to school. And always cry out to God, please help me to get to school on time so I don't have to do detention class. And every time, God will come through for me. That's why my faith grew over a period of time. All right? And after I became a Christian, I really experienced a freedom from worry and stress I had. My turmoil the year before when I failed my exam became replaced by peace, a sense of well-being. And that year, I became motivated to study hard because I wanted to bring glory to Jesus, who is my newfound love. And I did well in my exam enough to be promoted to the 2nd class in the cohort. So thank God for that. All right, so that's my testimony. You can also write your testimony something like in that way. Just identify a theme and then describe how make the decision to follow Christ. All right? And then you say how it has changed your life again. And be real. All right? Don't say that now my life is completely at peace. It's never completely at peace. I have more peace. I know how to come back to God, right? Whenever I struggle with something. So be real about it. You still struggle with problems. We don't become a Christian and then there's no problem in the world for us. We still live in this world and this world is full of trouble. But now we have strength. We have God that we can count on and depend on. We have a spiritual family that we can lean on, and we have people guiding us in this journey of life. So you can write your testimony and keep it to about 300 words. And I will suggest that you let somebody else read it for you and help you to just go through and ask you some question, and maybe you can improve on a little bit here and there to make it clearer. And if you have 300 words on a piece of paper, usually it will take you at least 5 minutes to share it, because you will never be able to share in one shot. All right? So I will encourage all of you to do this, and may you have great joy. May you encounter God as He help you to remember what He has done in your life, and may you have an anointing to really share the gospel and bring many, many others into God's kingdom, especially the ones you love a lot, a lot, a lot. God bless you.